Hey gang, welcome back to the shop. I am Bob and this is Party Shop Shenanigans. Hey, thanks to those of you who've been following the channel for the last couple of years. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate your support and all your feedback and your comments. If you happen to be new to the channel, I encourage you to take a look back at some of our previous projects. They're fun. They're just, well, they're shenanigans out in the shop. Today I'm going to be working on my '89 Jeep Comanche that I affectionately refer to as Papa Smurf. And it's got a Ford 8.8-inch rear end with an open carrier. And I'm getting ready to go to the EasterJeepSafari 2026, and I'd really like to have a limited slip. What to do on a budget? That's what we're going to do today. Going to go to the wrecking yard, pull a carrier out of an Explorer, do a quick rebuild on a limited slip, a Trac Lok, put it in. We're going to get ready for the EasterJeepSafari. So stick around. I think we'll have some fun. Well, let's do a little walk around. What am I going to do? We're going to work on Papa Smurf. Get around here where the lighting's maybe a little better. I've done some preliminary work here that just kind of getting staged and ready. But first off, this is the future shop, and I say future because I need to enclose this, put in some barn doors, get some lighting up, get some space. But for now, we're going to break this in the right way. We're going to make a mess on the floor today. So my goal is, I've got this Ford 8.8-inch rear end that I put in, oh gosh, probably 7 years ago. It's got about 15,000 miles on it. This has become my daily driver in the last 6 months or so. But it's also my little off-road toy. But when I say off-road, because it is my driver, I want to take good care of it, not beat it up. Last year, before EasterJeepSafari, I did a series on pulling the head and grinding the valves. We put in some new freeze plugs rather, in the engine block. Got 260,000 miles or so on this truck. I modified these sliders off of a Jeep Gladiator, put those on, and I was able to get that all done just a week or so before the EasterJeepSafari. Went and had a good time. I'm going to hopefully step up into a little nicer, a little more challenging trail, and I've got an open carrier for this Ford rear end now. So what I'm going to do is do the Trac Lok and go to the wrecking yard and pull out some parts, and I want to show you how for about 200 bucks can make a pretty nice upgrade to this 8.8-inch rear end. So let's hop in the old truck, get down to our local wrecking yard, go out into the great blue yonder, and find some parts. Okay, we have arrived. The location that my friend Caleb and I call, of course I learned this from him, the candy store. That's right. You pick it right here in Prescott Valley in Arizona. And go ahead and take a snapshot of that picture and that name. They're online, got lots of good stuff. It's time now to make our way down into Candyland. Okay, well, by golly, I found what I'm looking for. Right here is a 1999 Ford Explorer. It's got the 8.8-inch rear end. It happens to have a limited slip differential in it. And let's take a look at a few things that'll help you identify what you're looking for out in the wrecking yard. Now, the kind of cheater, if you will, the sure thing is you pull that cover and you take a look at the carrier. If that doesn't work for you, or you don't want to get to that level, you can see that there's a tag right under that hose there. and it's going to have a number on it. We'll look a little closer in a minute. That'll tell you what this differential was before anybody messed with it. You never know if somebody's changed something out. But a quick little look is the axle code on the VIN number. I'm not going to turn my camera sideways because it'll make everything go wonky if I do. Let's see if I can get the door to stay. Come on now. Okay, so if you look at Bob struggled a little bit here. Okay, here we go. Do you see where it says axle D4 right above my fingernail there? What that D4 represents is this Explorer was made with a limited slip or the Trac Lok rear end, and that should probably be a 373 gear ratio, I believe. It is the D2 is a 410. Now my pickup is already geared with 410. All I'm looking for is the carrier and the assembly. So we're going to take a look. Oh, something else, as you're just going through these, if you look at that axle code and there is no letter, it's just a number designation, it's going to be an open carrier if you're looking at Explorers. As a general rule, the Explorers were all made with a 31 spline axle. So it's got the heavier duty axle versus the 28 spline that might be in a Mustang or in a Ford Ranger. There's a difference in the diameter of the axle tube. The 31 spline is a bit more beefy. Gosh, what else is there? As a general rule, if it's got disc brakes and it's 97 through 01, it's probably going to be a 31 spline. Some of the older Mustangs and older Rangers, they had drum brakes. Now something else you can do, which I can't at this moment, I'm going to need to disconnect the drive line, but if you spin this over, if both axles are spinning the same direction, as a general rule, that could have a limited slip in it. If you spin this axle forward and on the passenger side it's going backwards, it's probably an open differential. Depends on how wore out those clutch packs are in that Trac Lok. This rig happens to have on the odometer 250,000 miles. So I'm going to assume that I need new clutch discs and everything put into that Trac Lok anyway, which is what I've already ordered up and already have available back at the house. So I'm going to set up, pull some things apart. You probably don't really need my description on how to do, and we'll take a look and verify if I found the treasure that I'm looking for. So I've confirmed a couple things. I've confirmed that when I rotate this axle forward, that axle goes forward. So that's a good sign. I verified that the axle code indicates this is a limited slip. And I'm not sure I'm going to be able to show you too well here. It's upside down. But you can see over here, and it's terrible lighting, I'll show you once I get it out. On this tag that's on the differential, there's a number here ending in L, typically signifies limited slip. What's a little odd to me is there's two tags on this rear axle. So we'll pull them both off and take a look. You know, remember, even though you're at a wrecking yard, let's be good stewards. I found myself a bucket. I'm going to pull the cover off here. That's our true test. But let's not dump things all over the ground, huh? Okay, well, with any luck, this camera will remain right where it is. And let's see if we can get this bad mama Jake taken apart. So this is the tag we really wanted to look at. Not sure you can see that, but in the bottom left it says 3L73. What that's indicating is this tag says this has 373 gears, and the L refers to limited slip. Now, if this has not been opened before, that's an accurate depiction of what we'll find. while that drains, I'm going to go pull off the brakes so we can pull an axle later. Okay, well, we're going to get back to this. I hope this camera angle and the lighting gives you what we're going to accomplish here. But I've got the calipers pulled off of both sides. I've got the rotors pulled off of both sides, because we're going to pull this and verify that we have the carrier that we're looking for. And then I'm going to have to pull the C-clips to push the axles out to be able to remove this differential. And again, I'm hoping that this guy isn't in my way, but we'll find out. Also, another little tip, when you're out and about in the wrecking yard like this, like I said earlier, catch oils, you know, don't make a bad name for the rest of us. And happen to make myself a decent little bolt catcher here as well. Yeehaw, huh? Okay, so the moment of truth is about to reveal itself. Do we have a limited slip? And the answer is an affirmative. You can see this, and we'll be looking at it a lot closer later on the bench as we rebuild this. You can see this spring clip or S-clip that's in here. What that's doing is that's holding the spider gears apart. And you can see up in here, there are clutch discs in there. And so with an open carrier, it's free spinning, and if you lose traction on one side, that wheel will spin in the gravel, while this wheel might have traction on pavement. What this does is this spring clip pushes out. There's a clutch pack in here, and a clutch pack in here keeps pressure on it. So those clutches are making contact, so you have positive traction, a posi-track, but it's a limited slip, because if it's too much stress, it'll actually give, and these clutches will slip instead of breaking an axle. So for a daily driver like mine, that's what I'm looking for. To get this out now, I'm going to have to rotate this carrier around to pull. There's a rod through here. I'm going to have to pull that out, but to do that, I'm going to have to spin it around to get to the little keeper that holds everything in place. Meanwhile, you get to enjoy a view of the back of my balding head. All right, here we go. I think this is an 8mm. Oh, and it's fooling me. No, it's not. I pulled a 7mm instead of an 8. That was silly, wasn't it? Well, let's get the right tools. There we go. Didn't realize I had an end wrench that went down that small. Guess you learn something new every day. Grandpa was... How do I want to do this? I think we'll do the opposing wrench method. What is that guy out there? That's going to be a big rascal's at 19. By golly, it is. I'll put you on here. Put you on here. Where'd my little wrench go? This should have Loctite on it, and it does, so let's see if we can extend some leverage here. Oh, don't slip off there, turkey. Or that will make our life very difficult. How are we going to break you loose? I don't want to round this off, or I won't get this pin out, and then I'm in a not great position. All right, well, I'll come back to you when I have a solution. Okay, so we're back. I had to make a trek to my pickup toolbox to get this 6-point instead of a 12-point wrench. This is actually a 5/16. The 8mm that's up here was rounded out, and I was thinking I was going to have to start over, but I was able to take this 5/16 and drive it on, hammer it on, and So far, whoops, let's see if I can not break my head here. I need about one more hand is what I need. Caleb, where are you when I need you? You and your company, you silly guy. Come on, bugger. It's going to kind of fight me all the way out, but that's okay. Slow and easy wins the race. This has thread locker on it that's been on it for 25 years, I'm going to guess. But what's important is, yes, we're making our way out. Keep in mind that this pin that I'm pulling out right now, they're considered a one-time use. So spend the few bucks it's going to cost you to buy a new one when you put it together, because what you don't want is for this little guy to fail when you're running down the road or running down the trail and have all your innards come apart and become outards. Is outered a word? I don't know. Maybe it is now. Okay, well, this is a little cumbersome, a little clumsy. I know it's boring to watch, but hey, it's fun to be outside. Nice day, into March, second day of spring, 26. Here in Prescott Valley, it's going to be about 85 degrees today, if you believe it. It's warm a little sooner than I'd like it to be for this year, but by golly, it's sure gorgeous right now. Okay, so because this is a 5/16 wrench on this 8mm head that I've kind of had to booger around, it's not super easy to get on here. Oh, come on, fingers, cooperate. Let's try the 8mm out and see if... There we go. Almost took that one in the nose for you on camera. Aren't I a nice guy? Alrighty. There we go. So I'm not sure you can see that, but this guy's going to come right out. What you should be able to see is it's threaded just up here. And this is just a rod that goes through to hold this guy in that wants to come out nice and easy the way we want it. Now, I am not going to reuse this, but I am going to throw it in my bucket bin to take home with me. Sometimes they're handy for setup and just for kind of down and dirty stuff. Okay, now let's bring this guy around. See if we can push this out. Yes, we can. There we go. I'm going to pull this guy out. I think my finger's long enough here. There we go. Okay, come on, turkey. All the way out. All right. And you can see this hole here where that rod was going through. Oh man, I'm going to keep him again, not because I'm going to reuse it, but they make a good punch. Okay, next up. Boy, I'm sure glad I had that 6-point in there. Next up is I need to push these axles in. I'm going to try to move it up here, see if you can see this just a little bit better. You'll see me move this axle out. You see that move in? Okay. And what I have to do is I have to get, there's a E-clip on here, or a C-clip that we're going to get off of there. And that's going to allow the axle to come out. Gosh, I'm almost there. So let's put this back here again. Sorry, I don't have a tripod small enough to get down here like this. To get down low. It wants to be at about bumper height. But what I should be able to do now is work this guy out. There we go. Just like that. This clip going over the end of the axle, that's all that's holding this axle in. And then, as I drop that, and then this pin is wedged between the ends of the axle to keep it pushed out tight. This is probably one of the biggest weak points, is this C-clip being what holds the axle in. You break an axle, you can't keep the assembly together out on the trail, unlike something that's bolted together and held out outer side. Okay, so now I'll be able to push that axle out. I'm going to pull this axle in a little bit. See if I can work this guy out. This is going wonderful now that I've got that pin out of there. Okay, and once again, we'll grab our magnet. Now, whenever I pull parts out of the wrecking yard, I keep everything that was attached to it. I keep all the bolts and nuts and fasteners and C-clips, just to have them. Sometimes in a pinch, you need to reuse stuff, and other times it's just good for fabrication parts. All right, next up is I'm going to pull off the bearing caps, these 4. Let's see if I can reach past here. Get there. That axle's out of my way now. This axle's out of my way. Now the only thing holding this carrier in is going to be these 2 bearing caps. And I'm not taking this axle. These bearing caps are machined to fit this housing, and they're machined to fit a certain direction and a certain side. So even though I'm not going to be using this, maybe nobody else is, I'm going to pay attention to where these come off, and I'm going to put them back right the way they were, just in case somebody's going to use this housing in the future. Besides, that's a good practice so that when you're doing your stuff that you need to use, that you want to keep all in order, you don't bugger it up. Okay, let's see. I need to grab more tools. Okay, I'm going to take these bearing caps off. I'm going to keep them in order. Put them back on just as good practice. I'm not going to reuse them. I just want this carrier. I'm going to use the differential cover here as my semi-clean catch area for this gear assembly to come down into. And let's get the Ugga. Let's see what we got. What is that? About a 13? 13's a little big. Let's go down here to my 3/4. There we go. 3/4 inch. Let's see how many Uggas it takes to get these out. Oh, not too many. That's not what we want. Here we go. Go. So again, even though I'm not going to be using these bearing caps myself, I'm just going to pay attention. This one goes on the right. This one will be on the left. I'll put them back in their respective holes when I'm done. Okay. Love having the tools for the job. Oh, come here, little bugger. All right, now the question is going to be, there's shims that are on either side of here to set this for your gear lash. And this is going to come out pretty easy. So I'm going to pay attention to my bearings and these shims. Oh, you're going to be a stinker. Oh, you're going to come out. You're going to come out. Come on. There we go. I did it without having to pull that guy off. Excellent. Okay, so what have we got here? Dirty hands. We've got... So these were just major shims. I don't see any small ones in this setup. So it'll be interesting to see when I get home on mine what's going to be what. Right hand, left hand. Of course, I'm going to worry about what's coming out of my Jeep. That's how it's going to go back in. So I'll get this all out where we can see it. We'll have a brief conversation. So I've made it back from the little endeavor to the candy store and came back with some treasures. Now what's interesting about this is the actual time to remove this differential and get it on the counter right here would probably have been an hour and a half. But as fate would have it, I had to battle getting this pin out, or getting this bolt out, as we talked about. That was probably 45 minutes that I did not share with you, rounded off. So it took me about another 45 minutes to find a replacement in town, and about a half hour standing in line to get help. It's what it is. But my point with it is that I think I paid $65 for this carrier at the wrecking yard. How can you go wrong? I've bought new clutches for it, which we're going to look at pretty soon. But first, we're going to tear this guy down. But let's take a little closer look at what I actually acquired. Let's see if I can make you dizzy and move things around here a little bit. So, we've got the carrier. I'm going to pull, this ring gear will come off because this is a 373 ratio ring. And what's in my Jeep now are 410. So I'll use my ring gear on here. When I get that off, I'm going to pull out this S-clip, the spider gears, and then I'm going to pull out these clutch packs and spacers in here. I bought new bearings because I'm not going to reuse bearings from a 250,000 mile Explorer that I know nothing about. So I got a set of bearings for that. And clean everything up. We're going to put it all back together and see how that all works out. Now what I did buy, as I mentioned, not a sponsor. Hopefully one day they will be, but I've had really good luck with the Yukon product. I've got this when I rebuilt both my Dana 30 and the 8.8 that's in the Jeep now. All my bearings and all my hard parts, my gears and whatnot, had really good luck with that. I've got the clutch packs that have been soaking overnight. I kept these spacers and these races from this removal, not because I'm going to reuse them, but because I like to have up around sometimes for setup. I kept the C-clip, just because I like to have them around. Kept a handful of nuts and bolts and whatnot. But let's look at this for a minute. Let's see if I can get you something, see if that'll focus on here. I think it'll focus. Okay, so all this is a tag saying to use 75W140 synthetic oil, and that's for those clutches and whatnot. They're happiest with that. And then this is actually the tag that you would look for that would show you that it's a 373 gear ratio, L for locker. If this was an open carrier, this L would not exist on this tag. Of course, this tag on that housing is only effective if nobody has modified what's inside the housing. Obviously, I've pulled this off of the wrecking yard. I'm not going to keep it because I'm not running 373 gears. I just wanted you to see what it looked like. So let's set things up differently and get this rascal tore apart. So I'm definitely not set up with the shop I'd like yet. A lot of stuff in the background there you can see is clumped up, but I guess the point here is that you can be in a one-car garage with just a little space to work and you can still get this job done. Let's pull this ring gear. Throw these over their pile of stuff. All right. Making progress. I just don't want to pinch it funny. Well, I managed to pull this ring off, which was not my goal. But I'm not sad to see it gone. Because now well, I guess a dry climate isn't good for hammers, is it? Okay, an iconic move here. Let's see if this will stick. There we go. That's the sound of success. Okay, so this 373 ring gear, be retired. Wear looks pretty good on it. Pretty well centered. And really no big signs of abuse, so that's good because hopefully that means this hasn't seen any real abuse and bad torque put on it, right? You would think that a great big chunk of iron like that is indestructible, but not always so. Okay, the next challenge is going to be taking this S-clip out. It's sprung pretty tight to hold my gears in place where the clutch packs are. I need to pull that out before I can get my my spider gears out. When I get the spider gears out, then I can get my axle drive gears out. Clutch packs, spacers, the whole kit and caboodle. I'm going to want to pay attention to how this was set up. I'm just curious because I've never been into one of these before. So we'll be learning together. These gears don't look terrible from what I can see. No big bad signs of abuse. We shall see as we get it apart. Let's see what I can do here. Okay. Question is, I got slightly compressed. I'm just going really easy. I don't want to get silly with it. You can see what we're doing here. And from everything I have been reading and looking on this, the real challenge will be putting it back in. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Okay, let's see here. Usually you should use a brass punch or anything on stuff like this. I'm going real light. This old pin I got from somewhere has been a pretty reliable punch for me, but just don't get crazy with things. There we go. Okay. On that front, voila. We got that rascal out. I'm going to go ahead and spring that. Not seeing any terrible wear marks on it. That's good. A little bit over here. We'll see what that's all about. Okay. So now, this is not going to spin quite as easily. Well, yeah, it does. It's an open carrier. But you see my spider gears here. I need to walk them out. Remember, they stay opposite one another for a reassembly. Okay. Aha. Now the fun begins. I'm going to make sure I keep this spacer together. So I've got both ring gears are out. Now I've got this pack, this whole assembly coming out. Okay. And let's see, any other spacers up here? No other spacers up here. Okay. And so what you see, what's different from your open carrier is with your open carrier, this is in here and just spins freely. But what it has is this sequence of steel plate. See if I can get this rascal to come out here. Steel plate. And these guys with the tabs, this has actually got clutch material on it, kind of like brake pads or a clutch disc. Okay, so when these are all assembled and they're pressing really tight, it makes it more difficult for this guy to spin when you hit a little bit of a loss of traction on one tire. Because this is compressed, it's forcing this to turn when otherwise it would stop and let the tire with no traction turn. Hope that makes sense, but there's a lot of videos out there that explain it way better than Bob does. Okay, so what I'm wanting to pay attention to here is this clutch disc here. You can see how the clutch is worn clear away to the metal because this was right up against this drive gear. Okay, and so you can see how that's worn out, which means it's not going to be as effective as it should be. Everything I've been reading says when I put it together that I'll be putting a steel on first, because look how much more surface that has than when it's all sticking out here. Can you see that? See how this outer surface here of this clutch disc, it never had anything to make contact with. But when I do reassemble this, which we'll talk about later, I'll put this steel plate on first, then I will put a clutch pack. Now look how that makes contact all the way through. That'll help this stay effective a lot longer. All right, well, let's move on and get the rest of this taken apart. Okay, so now just want to make sure there's no more spacers or anything in here. Nope, that's all clear. It's all clear. I'm going to double check this guy here. Nope, there is something right in here. There we go. Got to watch this stuff because it's been in place long enough and under pressure that the greases that are on here will suck it up there. So I'm putting things, this is the order in which it came out. Okay, and so look at this. Once again, we have this outer clutch, as you can see, has material worn completely away, and it's been working right off of the metal plate there. The other clutches look pretty good in that they don't have that kind of wear pattern because they had a full surface to contact. This is why when I pulled this out, I went ahead and ordered a set of clutches and seals for this, because not knowing anything about the history, if I had just put this into my Jeep, I would have been disappointed because this limited slip would have been probably not much better than my open differential that I have now. But by rebuilding this and putting in new clutch packs and having them sprung apart and tight like that, this is going to be a nice, fresh, limited slip that's going to give Papa Smurf some whole new abilities to get us both in trouble. It is a brand new day. Yesterday I ran out of daylight because I spent more time looking for tools and parts with this move and things scattered than I spent actually working on everything. But here's where I landed. So this is my Trac Lok carrier that we pulled out of the wrecking yard. This is my original open carrier that I installed a few years back in this Ford 8.8 inch rear end. A couple things you can see right away different. Don't mind this ring gear that's on here. This is, if I remember correct, has to do with traction control and whatnot, which I do not have. I took it off of this carrier earlier, but mind nothing about that. But you can see that there's a little difference here in carrier construction. See these slots right here? Those slots are designed for, for this tab, for this clutch to fit into. Okay, that's what helps give the traction that we're looking for. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. It also, you can just see it's just got a little more depth to it. See how wide this is? See how wide this is? This is a little bit beefier because we're going to put a little more stress on this carrier, because both axles, both tires will generally be gaining traction at the same time, where with the open carrier, the tire with the least amount of traction usually stays stationary or will spin while the other one provides your grip. Anyway, enough of that. You know how that all works. I've gone ahead and put some new bearings on here. I think we'll get ready to assemble this pretty quick, but let's look at one of the key differences right here. This is, I'm going to call it the drive gear, okay, that goes into this open carrier. Okay, this drive gear goes there. The axle shaft comes in here. And now let's compare it with this guy. You see anything different? Well, of course you do. See all these teeth in here. Okay, well, these teeth are what allow, well, gosh, there's just someone, let's just call it this pack, okay? See here, this whole pack is going to go in here like such. And because we're going to have this spring gear pressing hard and keeping this clutch pack nice and tight in here, this is what's going to prevent the wheel without traction from spinning as easily, because this is going to force it into spinning. Hope that makes sense. There's some other videos out there that probably a lot more clarity than I have, but I'm what you get. Looks like the spider gears, I think, are about the same. I haven't seen really difference. And because of that, I'm going to use my newer spider gears. These are a little bit rounded. They've got, according to the odometer, 250,000 miles on them. And so we're going to do that. And make sure whenever you take something apart like this, pay attention to shims and spacers. And also, there's two spider gears here, one for each side. I like to try to keep all my parts matched up to the original part. I don't really want to mix and match these, especially if they're worn, because they've worn in together. And just practice I've always learned, I think it's probably a good way to go. What that means is I'm not going to take these shims and put them on my spider gear. I'm going to use the shims already on my spider gears. So I'm going to rearrange, set some things up. Hope that makes some sense to you. But there's an open carrier. Here's a Trac Lok limited slip carrier. We're going to assemble this, first time I've done it, and see what kind of fun we can come up with. Hopefully it'll work when I'm done. So let's talk about what we have here. We have a carrier, we have new bearings. I've got this cleaned up, ready to go. I've got my 410 ring gear over here that we'll put on later. But first, I want to use all this space possible to do the assembly. Now, I've already talked about the fact that these clutch packs have a spacer, a clutch, a steel disc, a clutch, a steel disc, a clutch. I've already talked about how this clutch, you can see, is worn clear to the steel because it was put right up against this drive gear, okay? And you can see how that wore right into place, making this part pretty ineffective. Everything I've read says that the recommended assembly is to put a steel and then a clutch, because looky here. See how that provides a full surface compared to here not having a full surface? So that's what we're going to be doing here. So I've had good luck in the past with, and anticipate having more good luck in the future with, Yukon Gear and Axle products. They're not a sponsor. This is just something I'm telling you because I've had good luck with it. So I purchased this clutch kit over here in the whip topping bucket. You can't see, but I've got all my clutch discs have been put in there, and they've been soaking with a little bit of 85-140 with some friction modifier in here. I can't tell you the science behind it, but the friction modifier is important to be embedded in that clutch material so that you don't get chirping. It doesn't act like a locked up rear end when you're in the parking lot. So let's see what we've got here. We've got 2 steels here. Two steels here. Okay, these are the same thing. So obviously they must come in sets of 2. Get these guys out of the way. Try to keep my big old belly out of the way. You know, I put on this clean t-shirt this morning. I think I grabbed a size too small. But now that you notice, you're welcome. Alrighty. And then we've got these steel clutch pieces. So let's see, 1, 2, 4, there's 8. I'm going to say 4 for each side. And if I look at my original packs, when I looked at here, I had 2 steels to a clutch, to a clutch, 2 steels to a clutch, and then it had this spacer on the spider gear side. So what I'm going to be doing is, well, interesting. It says, let's see if we can separate these guys. They've got some, oh, come on now. They have some lubricant on there and it's wanting to, kind of sticky, isn't it? Come on, you little booger. Just come apart. There we go. Sticky. Good golly, this shouldn't be this difficult, should it? There we go. Wow, I should have checked those out first. I didn't know they'd be quite this sticky. And it's just because they've got lubricant on them that's kind of set into play. Come on. There we go, some motion. There we go. All right, well, because of that, I'm going to go ahead. I like to start with stuff that's clean. You know, brake cleaner fixes everything. We'll get any contaminants off of there from that old stuff. Get this all cleaned up, and I'll be back. I've put this first kit together. I figured I'd try it out before you were looking over my shoulder. And so now I'm going to assemble this. Now go back to a little bit ago, we were talking about how in the original clutch kit, how the first clutch was put on right against the drive gear. And we can see how badly that wore right through to the metal, right through to the steel. That doesn't make sense to me. It seems like if I'm going to have clutch surface material, it should be making contact all the way with the steel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these shims. I've got 3 per side in the kit here. And I'm going to put it on first. But over here in my whipped topping bucket, you can't really see, I've got a mix of 85 145 and the friction modifier that my clutches have been soaking in for a couple days now. I'm going to make sure that everything I assemble is good and well coated with lubricant, because the last thing I want to do is get this thing going and create some premature wear. So I'm going to put this spacer on first. Comment below if you think that's a terrible idea. Also, where I've had these soaking in here, I put toothpicks behind or between each layer with the idea that sticky old stuff, with the idea that I can get lubricant to soak into those clutches all the way through. Okay, so I've got a spacer, actually a shim, a clutch, and now I'm going to take my stack of 2 steels, because this is how they were from the factory where I tore it apart, so I'm just going to replicate that. The only thing I'm changing is the fact that I'm putting this shim in first, to give that first clutch maximum steel contact. Now you don't realize just how much or how thick lubricant can be until you start putting stuff like this on here. Okay, got a couple clutches to go here. Kind of clean off the big part of it there. We'll put you on here. Now I've got 2 more steels here. Now, these steels, I was watching a video that says steels are rough on one side and smooth on the other. And I'm not finding that to be the case. So I could be missing something. Again, copy down below if I'm completely botching this up. But hopefully you'll be at the EasterJeepSafari in Moab for 2026. Maybe we can connect. You can tell me the ills of my ways. Okay, so now the very last thing is this shim, which is what's going to make first contact with the carrier when I put this spider gear or this drive gear in. So what I've got here is I've got my drive gear, I've got a shim, I've got a clutch, I've got 2 steels, a clutch, and 2 steels. I'm missing a clutch. Silly me. I knew something was wrong here. Oh, at least you get to experience all this fun with me. Let's see. This will be a little better. Yeah, that looks a whole bunch better. Good grief. So a shim, a clutch, 2 steels, a clutch, 2 steels, a clutch, and a shim. Now this leaves me with 2 extra shims that I could shim more to put more pressure on it for a more positive traction situation. But right now I've already added a shim in here, so I'm not going to add any more. I've added a shim to what was factory and hoping this will all work out. So what you can see is if I hold these clutches in place, you'll see this spins, right? Spins. And when everything's assembled, it's got clamping power on here. And these clutches are going to cause everything to turn. All right, see the slot here? The slots are made for these clutch discs to set up into. So let's see if we can get this guy up in here, which we can. Now, the real challenge, I think, for me next is going to be just how we're going to assemble this. So you can see I've got my 2 drive gears in here. I did say earlier I gave some bad information. I was talking about how I like to take things apart and keep them matched up. Well, I got to thinking I was going to use my spider gears out of my open carrier because they were new. But then I realized these used spider gears are matched to these used drive gears that are specific to this Trac Lok. So I am going to reuse the same spider gears so that it's matched up with this Trac Lok. Now remember, this is a budget something that I'm doing right here because, well, because I'm broke. Like most of you, right? If you own a Jeep, you're broke. We'll put that guy right there. And I've got lubricant all over. That's why I like to put this cardboard down. Make sure everything's coated really good. Okay, let's see if we can get our spider gears in. We want them to be perpendicular to one another so that there we go. They'll turn in opposite directions. Okay, come on, baby. Now, what I'm faced with here is this is wedging tight here. I think in part because these are full of lubricant between each pack. So I'm a little tight. Therefore, let's see what happens when. I'm going to need to clamp that somehow. I'm going to have to put a preload on it. Because remember, this ultimately goes in between here and provides the pressure to keep these tight against those clutch discs. I think I'm going to need to go get a C-clamp, see if I can clamp some of that lubricant out, because I'll bet that lubricant's probably adding a 1/16 to 3/32 of an inch of thickness in there. that you don't see, but it's very real. I'll be back with the clamp. Okay, here's where I landed. I've assembled this once. We're going to see how this works out. You might recall I had a shim, a steel, a clutch, 2 steels, a clutch, 2 steels, and a shim. And it was too tight. I could not get my spider gears in. So what I did is, it seems to make sense to me to have an equal number of space between each clutch. I'm sure that's why they did this. So the 2 steels that were here, I split and I put one against the drive gear, because remember, I want maximum clutch contact. And I alternated steel, clutch, steel, clutch, steel, clutch, steel. And then I put the shim just on this one side. So this is the stock thickness configuration, same as what my originals were here. I've just, instead of putting 2 steels between each clutch, I now have 1 steel between each clutch. And that's all because I wanted to have a steel on the outside edge here, so this clutch would have full contact and not do this. I want it to wear like this. I don't know, hope that makes sense. Certainly those of you who have done this before, this is the first time I've ever gotten into a limited slip or a posi. And so I'm far from an expert. So any of you out there who have experience with this, I would love your feedback, and maybe you can make me smarter for next time. Of course, like I say, by the time I get that message, I will have assembled this, I will have run it, and I will have either broken it or been very, very happy. Okay, so my spider gears are now installed. I've got minimal play between the gears here. Of course, it's full of all kinds of lubricant now. I've got 4 extra shims. We're going to see what this does. I want to go ahead and, let's see, actually, next step is going to be to put this spring in. Now again, because I'm a YouTube warrior like the rest of you, I'm completely oblivious to most of the correct ways to get this done. Let's see, that's going to be, this is going to go through here. So this has to be installed this way. So let's compress this. Let's see. Wonder if I can go through this way. Could I be lucky enough that my... Not quite. How could I position those differently? How could I get that to pass through and possibly... I says, let's try this. Let's press that. Let's put my skinny vice grips on there. And again, there's a lot of different versions on how to get this through here safely and without working too hard, and I'm just making up my own on the way. And it's not being horribly successful, is it? All right. So let's stay with our bigger pliers here. I think once I can get you started in here, I don't want to pry on gears. So let's need that to compress a little differently. don't know if it needs more. We can try just a whisker more. Find anything on the other side? Probably not. Come on, baby. And I very carefully there's some of these old boys do this, make it look pretty easy. I'm going to see if we can. There we go. There we go. Really should be using a brass punch for stuff like this, but I'm not running my punch on the gears, only on this spring steel. There we go. All else fails, you put your belly into it. By golly, that'll get us where we need to be. Oh yeah, that's cooperating quite nicely, in fact. Let's see what we have going here. Just gentle. If I can give it just a little love here. Sure. Just a little love will do it. Let's see if I can push my spring steel down just past this point. Well, that's all it needed. I just had to talk to it right. Don't knock my water bottle down. Light and easy, whatever you do. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Let's see now. Just like that. So let's find our happy point here. What I'm doing is I'm sighting where my rod's going to go through here to make sure everything's nice and clear here. Okay, that's a good thing. Okay, now my cross pin, you might remember how I battled this in the wrecking yard. I've got to line up this hole with this, and of course we want to make sure everything's got some lubricant on it. And this should go in easy. You shouldn't have to drive this in. Okay, so this tells me we're bumping something. Okay, just let's see what this does. And give it just a little love tap. There we go. Just getting past that spring is all I'm doing there. There we go. Just like that. Okay, even up. My golly, that went far more smoothly than I anticipated. Okay, let's catch our breath. I'll be back with the next segment. We got to put on that ring gear and my cross bolt. Okay, I almost did something silly. I was going to put this cross bolt in to hold the pin, but that would be really silly because I can't have that pin in there, because when I put my axles in from either end, have to put them in far enough to put the C-clip on, and then have them go back, and then this pin goes in part in there, and in part helps hold those axles out. That was almost a silly mistake on my part. Would have been the first really silly mistake I've made, well, in the last 10 minutes. So let's pull our cross pin back out. Next up is going to be putting the ring gear on. Okay, so this is my ring gear with my 410s, and we're going to want to go like this. To bring it up, I've got to line up my bolt holes really nice, don't I? Okay, so I'm just going to put a couple here. I thought you would do that, silly. I just want to get a couple up here to hold it in place because I've got to make sure I Loctite everything really well. But I want to get things lined up well, so I'm not fighting anything later. Everything in a little drink of brake fluid, or brake cleaner. No brake fluid in here. I did this early and blew it out, but we'll do it again. Clean the threads up a bit. A really cool thing I discovered, I have air out here in this back shop. The previous owner plumbed underground all the way from the wood shop, which is probably 30 yards away. How sweet is that? I will still be putting my regular air compressor out here, but what a score, huh? Okay. All right, red Loctite. You want these things to stay. They can't be coming loose on you and wreaking havoc. So I usually put one good dollop on there, which is typically more than sufficient. Yeah, that counts as a dollop, in case you wondered. It's not what your wife does before you go out on a date. It's how you put Loctite on a bolt, a dollop. Bad jokes. Sorry, not sorry. But we're this much closer to putting this bad rascal back in to Papa Smurf. We'll talk a little bit about shims. Now, one thing I did not show you is I did some measuring and checking to make sure that this carrier depth this way and where this ring gear landed was very similar, like by eye and with a tape measure the same, but it could be a thousandth of an inch or a couple thousandths different in machining. But that's important because I don't want to have to completely reset my gear lash if I can help it. I've got my pinion depth set, pinion gear to match this ring gear already. And this carrier appears to be equal dimensions to the open carrier. So I'll still need to check my valve or my gear lash, but I kept all my spacers that came out in order. We'll see how that's going to work out. Okay, if I remember correctly, these are supposed to be torqued at about 85 foot-pounds. You look it up, don't trust my word on it. But what I have found so far with my gun here, I give about 2 ugga-luggas, gets me about right there. Okay, and like that, we now have new clutches, new steels, new bearings. I kept my shim packs that were from my open carrier setup. So I'm going to do my initial install with the same setup, and we'll check our gear lash, and fingers crossed, we're really, really close still. Okay, so what we have is our carrier. We've got these shim packs that were in the original setup. If I keep everything together here, with my open carrier. And these shim packs are adjusted left to right, so I can set the gears up to the pinion at the right distance, give the right amount of free play. What I did is I kept everything intact. Let's wipe you off. Making a mess is what I'm doing here. What I'm hopeful is I can assemble this just like the open carrier came out, and that these same shim packs will get me where I need to be. But of course, everything is slippery and slickery, and they're behaving as if I'm slightly wider than I was previously. You'll notice how this is like a kit, right? I have no shims in there. See this little ring here? That's when I put my shims in and the sandwich is in. I'm going to start out with pulling these because I'm clearly going to need to start from scratch with this setup, which is a bummer because I had hoped that I could use my original setup. I'm still going to keep my spacer packs separate, left from right, right, left. I'm just going to go back to the base package here. Let's see what our starting point is. And no, this is not the right way to do this. It's cringeworthy. Feel free to comment below. I'm getting those packs in there. And that's quite a bit of gap, but what I want to do is go ahead and put my bearing caps on here, torque it down a bit, and let's see what it is then. Sound like a plan? Sounds like a plan. Come on now. Remember, with these bearing caps, they're machined to this housing, so don't mix them up, don't turn them around, don't interchange them with another rear end if you can possibly help it, because you could cause some angst you don't want to deal with. Let's see here. Okay, only took me 2 tries, and I'm now at, if I can see past the camera, I'm at 8/1000ths of an inch of gear lash. So I suspect when I run this out, first 100 miles or so, that's probably going to be 8.5 or 9. I'm pretty happy with that. We want like 8 to 12. I want to go to the tight side so that this can get where it needs to be. If your gear lash is too tight, you're going to have abnormal wear on your gears. Things are going to get hot, might bind up. Bad things. Have it too loose, it's going to be clunky. You might break a tooth. I've already set my gear pattern, my depth of my pinion, how far in it comes and how it meshes and where the gear pattern is here. So lots of videos out there to show you how to do that. That's not what this one is all about. Time now to button this project up and hopefully take it for a drive today. Alrighty then. Well, let's see. some final steps are necessary here. One, we need to get these C-clips put back in to hold the axles in place, and put in the cross pin, cross connect, and cross bolt. So here's what we're going to do. First things first, just give a quick little, just a quick little snort here to knock out any stuff that I might have. So we have our C-clips here. We're going to go back here, hold our axle in place. Oops, if I can get my fingers to work. Remember, this C-clip literally just clips right over the end of the axle into a slot. There, that's happy. And then I need to get this guy pulled up here a little bit. Not sure you can see past me, but there we go. That's what we were looking for. All right. Our two C-clips are in. Next up is our cross pin. But we want it to be happy, don't we? Let's get our happy little cross pin. Okay, I'm going to install my cross pin. Remember, this is going to go up through here to hold those axles apart, and then I'm going to put this cross bolt in. First, we'll give it a little bit of 85-90. Never hurt anybody to have a little bit of extra lubrication in there just so we don't have problems later on. Remember, this should go in pretty easy. The threaded portion that's going to hold our new cross bolt in is up here in the carrier. All this is just a hole. So we need to make sure that we line things up. Come on, little guy. Okay, I've got my axles now that need a little gentle persuasion. How will we do this? This is where it's nice to have a buddy and a little extra help. We're going to try this once again. Wipe down our cross pin. Nice and clean. Put a little bit of sticky slicky on here. Yes, it's funny. Sticky slicky. 140 is kind of sticky. That's behaving a little better. There we go. There we go. Remember, I want this hole to be perpendicular. Give you a little. Okay, now I could use my old cross bolt that it came out of here, but since I hope it's the last time into it, I'm going to use a brand new one. It has built into it. Okay, come on now. It has thread locker on it already. There we go. All right. Grab our little wrench, our 8mm. This is a very important component, that this cross bolt is in good and snug and has that Loctite on it. Because boy, oh boy, if this rascal were to come out while you're zipping down the road, everything would make your day bad in a hurry. Okay, so brief recap of what we've done here. We've pulled out our open carrier. We've put in this limited slip or this Trac Lok carrier in this Ford 8.8 inch. It's got new clutch packs and seals on both sides. I swapped over my 410 ring gear. We've set our gear lash. We're like right at 8 thousandths right now, which feels kind of tight, but spec is 8 to 12. This gives it a little bit of room to break in. I think now I can go ahead and clean this up. I'll get some gasket maker on it. We'll get this rear diff cover on. Let's fill her up, see what trouble happens from there. So now that we've got this Trac Lok installed, look what happens when I spin the tires. They both go the same direction. Usually a good indication that you've got positive traction. Both tires are going to spin. If one tire has more resistance than the other, those clutches will allow it to slip. That's why it's called a limited slip. The open carrier, if I push this tire where I am backwards, the driver's side would go forward. So this is really good news. I think next steps are going to be, let's go take Papa Smurf for a little drive. Now, break-in says I'm supposed to do figure eights for 10 to 15 minutes and really stress those clutches and run them, not do any hard launches. With 260,000 miles on this 4-liter, I'm not too worried about any hard launches. This is not exactly a quarter-mile machine. Let's go take a drive. Okay, it is good to have this little project done. And yes, this is the same video you started with. I cut off the mustache and the goatee this morning. I was feeling frisky. This turned into a 1.5 day long project, not because it was an especially difficult project, but because I couldn't find my tools. The shop that's behind the camera there is quite a mess right now, and I'm working out of tubs. So once I got everything lined out, it went pretty quick. I hope you found this helpful. You know, last year before EasterJeepSafari, I was in a rush. I ground the valves, replaced freeze plugs in this 4-liter. I modified those Gladiator slide rails there to fit this Comanche, which I think they came out pretty good. So this year, of course, it's the big rush to make it to the EasterJeepSafari. It's just a week away. The 2026 EasterJeepSafari is going to be the 60th annual, and it ought to be a whole heck of a lot of fun. Had a good time with this project. My little break-in period doing figure eights in the parking lot was uneventful, boring for 10 minutes just driving in circles. But that was so that I could stress those clutches, get the lubricant in there really well, run it. Also running down the highway at 70 miles an hour, I might have fixed another little ghost problem I've had. I've had this vibration that's been random, and I didn't notice it today. 70 miles an hour, smooth as can be, that I haven't done in Papa Smurf for a while. So fingers crossed, not only do I have better traction and some better controls, but I might have fixed an ongoing problem that's been eluding me as well. Hey, if you find something helpful in this video, comment down below, would you? Or if you take exception to something in this video, you might be a lot more experienced than me working on these rear ends. I'd like to hear that too, because that's how I learn. Keep it family friendly. That's all that I ask. Hey, thanks for joining me here on Pardee Shop Shenanigans. It's time to go out and make somebody smile. I want you to do the same because you both deserve it. Bob out.